Hi guys, I hope you all are healthy and safe, and I expect you all are studying really well. Yes? Okay. So, after covering two big topics, now I decided to move to one small topic for you all, which is registered valuer. A small yet an important topic from your examination point of view. Okay, so you know what, this topic has got its attitude, its self-respect back after the introduction of MCQs to your syllabus. Okay, so you can expect up to one descriptive question or up to two MCQs from this chapter. So the tentative weightage ranges from 2 to 4 marks for this chapter. Now, this chapter has to be read with companies registered valuers and valuation rules 2017. This you have to remember. See, unlike other rules which were introduced in the year 2014, these rules were introduced in the year 2017. So whenever you are referring to any of the rules of this chapter, please do not forget to mention the correct year there. Okay. Now, the provisions of this chapter are covered under section 247. Only one section is there. Okay. So, as you already know, you all have studied FR, so you already know the importance of valuation in your daily life, right? So, what are we going to study here? See, we are going to study here the provisional part. Who can be a registered valuer? Who has the authority to appoint a registered valuer? Then the qualifications, disqualifications of a registered valuer, the responsibilities of a registered valuer, the penal provisions, the consequences of contravention of any of the provision of this chapter, etc. Okay, so let us start. Registered valuer, it applies when a valuation with respect to the following is required. It says when a valuation of property, stock, shares, debentures, securities, goodwill, or any other asset is required to be done, or the valuation of liabilities or the net worth of the company is required to be done, we appoint a registered valuer. Now, who appoints a registered valuer? It says a registered valuer is appointed by the audit committee or by the board in absence of audit committee. Very important for from your MCQ point of view. Now, this is again important. Another important point here. See, a person shall not undertake valuation of any asset in which he is directly or indirectly interested currently or 3 years prior to the date of appointment or 3 years after the date of appointment. What does it say? It says if a person is interested in any of the asset of the company, either currently interested or if he was interested 3 years prior to the date of appointment, or if he will be interested 3 years after the date of appointment, such a person shall not undertake valuation of such an asset of the company. However, it is talking about the asset only. That means what? If a person like such a person can undertake the valuation of other assets of the company, okay, he shall not undertake the valuation of that particular asset only if he is interested in that particular asset. Okay, now next it says maintenance of records by registered valuer. A person who is a registered valuer, he has to maintain the records of valuation for a period of 3 years from the completion of valuation. Now, he may take assistance or input from other registered valuer. However, he shall be continued to be liable for such inputs. See, the registered valuer may obtain inputs for his valuation report from another registered valuer, but he shall make full disclosure of inputs and liability that may arise in future in his valuation report, and he shall continue to be responsible or liable for his valuation report. Okay, then any person may make a complaint against the registered valuer by paying a fee of rupees 1000. See, fee for making complaint against the registered valuer or a registered valuer organization can be made after paying 1000 rupees to the concerned authority. Now, who can be a registered valuer organization? A registered valuer organization can either be a Section 8 company or any professional institute. However, a trust and a society can also be a registered valuer organization. However, they need to convert to Section 8 company before getting, before making an application for being a registered valuer organization. Now, when you want to transfer the membership of from one registered valuer organization to the another registered valuer organization, you need to take the prior approval of the authority. A general point yet could be asked. Okay, now punishment for contravention. This is very important, very important. This is the general punishment. If you have contravened any of the provision, this punishment shall be levied. What does it say? It says a fine of minimum 25,000 which may extend to 1 lakh rupees could be levied. However, if you have made any false statement with an intention to deceive or defraud the company or the members, or you have make any intentional error, intentional contravention, then you shall be imprisoned for up to 6 months, and a fine of minimum 1000 which may extend to 5 lakh can be levied. Further, all the your remuneration that we are required to be paid to you, or that we have already paid to you, shall be refunded back to the company, and you have to compensate for the loss or for the damages which has occurred to the company or the members or to any other person. Moving on. Application for certificate of registration. Who can apply? An individual can apply by filling form A within a fee of 5,000 is required to be deposited to the authority, and even the firm or the company can make an application by filling form B, and the fee here is rupees 10,000. Now, the authority shall examine the application. It shall grant 21 days to remove the defects, if any are there in the application, and it may require any additional documents within next 20 within these 21 days. Okay. Now, you shall make an application. The authority shall review the application, and if it finds any defect, or if you yourself find any defect, you can rectify it within a period of 21 years. Further, the authority may ask for additional document within these 21 days. Okay. Now, if the authority is satisfied, it shall grant you the registration certificate within a period of 60 days from the date of receipt of application. And these 60 days shall not include those 21 days that were given to you for removal of defects, or for furnishing additional documents. Now, if the authority is not satisfied with your application, it shall communicate the reasons to you within 45 days, and again these 45 days does not include these 21 days above. Okay. Eligibility criteria for being a registered valuer in case of an individual. It says when you fulfill all these conditions, then only you can be a registered valuer. What are the conditions? It says when you are a valuer member of registered valuer organization, or your name is recommended by the registered valuer organization, and you have at least 3 years experience after passing the examination, then you must be a person resident in India, and this definition has to be taken as per the FEMA Act. Then you must be a fit and proper person, a person of integrity, reputation, character, etc. And you must hold any of these educational qualification. You must hold the postgraduate degree or diploma, and a 3 years experience should be there. Then, if you are a member of any professional institute, then also a 3 years of experience is required. And if you are holding any bachelor's degree or diploma, a 5 years experience is required. Okay. Now, there are certain disqualifications that may attract to an individual, and then such a person cannot be a registered valuer. What are these? See, these are very similar to your section 164, which were the disqualifications of director. Let us see. If you are a person of unsound mind, a person who is a minor, a person who is an undischarged insolvent, you cannot be a registered valuer. Then, any person who is convicted by a competent court and sentenced to imprisonment for more than 6 months shall be disqualified for being a registered valuer for a period of 5 years. Important. Okay. Then, if you are sentenced to imprisonment for more than 7 years, you are disqualified for lifetime. This point was there too, right? Then, if any penalty under section 271J of the Income Tax Act is levied on you, and you either have not made any appeal because the prescribed time limit has lapsed, or where the appeal has confirmed the penalty, then you are disqualified for a period of 5 years. Okay, important again. Then, these are some of the disqualifications which are there in case of a partnership firm or company to be a registered valuer. What are these? See, if your organization, if the entity is set up with the objective other than professional services or financial services, including registered valuation service, then you cannot be a registered valuer. Then, any subsidiary, joint venture or associate of any other company cannot be registered valuer. Any entity or the firm who is undergoing IBC or an undischarged bankrupt cannot be a registered valuer. Then, if 3 or all the partners are not a registered valuer, then such a company or firm cannot be a registered valuer. 3 or all. If there are below 3, then all the members. If there are more than 3 members there in the firm or the company, then minimum 3 should be a registered valuer. Then, none of the partner or director is registered for asset class for valuation of which it seeks to be a registered valuer. Suppose you says that I am a, I do valuation of registered value, intangibles. You promote your company as a registered valuer of intangibles. You say we are expert of valuation of intangible assets, and none of your partner, none of your members, none of the directors of your company have ever taken any assignment for valuation of an intangible asset. Then again, you cannot be a registered valuer. Okay. And the valuation report that you have prepared must be signed by the person who is a registered valuer. Suppose you have undertaken a valuation of any asset and a team of say 5 members were constituted. So all of them were working together, but the report has to be signed by the person who is a registered valuer. Okay, this is the same in case of your tax audit report, or in case of your normal returns that you that you submit with the income tax department or other department. This is similar point to that. So whatever is important, I have already highlighted that. I have written those points in red. You can refer, and this is all about this chapter. I hope you enjoying watching this video, and if you did so, please hit the like button. Further, please subscribe to my channel for further videos, and please do comment if you need any support from my side, if you want me to cover any other topic. Okay, thank you so much.